Okay, this is a reaction video. This is the world according to Briggs, 10 places you should live in 2023. Well, I'm kind of curious about this myself. I know there's a lot of good places out there to live. I'm assuming he's talking about the United States of America and no place else. But if he's talking about globally or internationally, I'm kind of curious about that myself. But 10 places you should live in 2023. Let's see what he's talking about here. This is the world according to Briggs. Please click like, share, and subscribe for him. And please click like, share, and subscribe for me as well.
Today I'm going to tell you what I think are the best places to live in the United States in 2023.
Okay, that answers that question. It's best places to live in the United States.
Everyone's got that bucket list of places they'd love to live or travel to, things like that. I travel, I study this stuff, I dream about living in different places. It's kind of my thing, it's what I do. I also like to tell people my name's Benjamin Dover, but then I tell them they can call me Ben for short. Today we're looking at places I would live in 2023. We won't be looking at any specific stat or category. This is just a video about my opinion. And I'm also going to tell you why I would live there. It might include a stat or something, but I'm not following one stat. These aren't ranking them by the lowest cost of living or the highest cost of living, anything like that. These are just the places I'd love to live in 2023. Got it? Get it? Good. Let's take a look. Number 10, Aspen, Colorado.
Now, Colorado, I hear nothing but good things about, and I've been to Colorado. I was in Colorado last year, and I wasn't there for very long, but I enjoyed Colorado. I think Colorado is a very, very beautiful state, and from what I saw of it, I've been through it before, but certainly I could understand wanting to live in Aspen, Colorado, especially if you like to ski.
Aspen, Colorado has been on my bucket list since I was like 13 and I first saw the place. Aspen is beautiful. Aspen is exciting, and it is expensive, like crazy expensive. If you don't make at least $250,000 a year, forget living here. If you make less than that and you want to live here, you're going to be living in a van down by the river, as the old saying goes. And yes, they do have a river. They've got a river and a small lake there. It's surrounded by mountains and some of the best skiing in the country.
Yeah, if you want to ski, this is where you go. I suppose it's probably a better place to visit than actually live, but he's talking about places you should live.
Aspen has next to no crime. Their crime rate's like 25% below the national average, so they're doing great there. Their schools are excellent. They've got plenty of things to do. They just have one of the highest costs of living in the country, along with some of the most ridiculous real estate prices. If you find a condo that is under $1 million, it's like a unicorn. If it does exist, nobody really believes it. There's townhomes here that are going for $3 million and they have one bedroom. Sure, you're like 50 feet from the ski slopes, but it's expensive. There's a home there that's for sale right now for $45 million. Being that expensive, I'm surprised there's 7,000 people that can actually call this place home. That's their population, 7,000. And one of them is named Tory. That's it, one name. And he's their mayor. But yeah, if I could afford Aspen, I'd definitely move there.
I don't know that I'd ever want to live there. Like I said, it's beautiful. Colorado's a beautiful state. I'm sure Aspen people. I've never been there before, but I'm not a big avid skier, and I'm not a big fan of snow. And that you get a lot of snow in Aspen, so I'm sure that'd be on my list of places to go.
Number 9, Fayetteville, Arkansas. Now, I'm sure a lot of you just gasped. Here's why.
Fayetteville, Arkansas is I wouldn't have expected that, but I'm kind of curious to see why.
I think Fayetteville is a great place to live. It's still relatively affordable, cost living, housing's still pretty low. And this part of Arkansas, like I've said before, is not like the rest of Arkansas. And the reason I would move here, it's a good investment. It's not going to stay cheap forever. They're starting to build more and more million-dollar homes in Fayetteville. Now, a few years back, they might have had a handful, but now they're starting to be built. This
sounds a little bit, not completely the same thing as a place close by to me where my girlfriend lives in Marysville, Ohio. Marysville, Ohio is really, to get to Marysville from where I'm at, you have to go down on the outer belt 270, then hit 33 and shoot about 5 to 10 miles out to, and it's like a nice little place that's out in the middle of, that has a nice quaint community and everything like that. Everything that people have enjoyed about living out there, but it's starting to expand. It's starting to move and trying to become a much bigger place. And a lot of the residents are not too happy with it. And I think that's similar to what we're talking about here. This is a nice place out there, affordable, easy to live, easy to get by in. And now it's gonna investment and growth is coming in, and I don't know how the people of Fayetteville feel about that.
This is just going to raise the property values of all the other homes in Fayetteville. This part of Arkansas doesn't get horrible weather. It's beautiful.
And you may say, hey, it's raising the property value, and that's a good thing. But not everybody's a fan of that sort of thing.
They have jobs. The economy's doing really good in this area. Just don't go to Little Rock for any reason whatsoever. Now, is Fayetteville perfect? No, it's got some crime. It still has some unemployment and some poverty like every place. This is definitely not a playground for the rich like Aspen is, but it is a place that has a lot of potential, and in the next handful of years, I think if I were to move there, or if anyone was to move there, the property values will go up and the place will get nicer. But their cost of living is pretty low, their schools are decent, and their housing is decent too. They also got the University of Arkansas right there in town, so you can go see some Razorback games. Fayetteville, Arkansas is part of a whole metro
That's if you care about Razorback games.
area that includes Springdale and Rogers. There's about 526,000 people living in this area, so it's not a small town in Arkansas. Number 8, St. George, Utah. St. George, Utah is in the southern section of Utah, not too far from the Nevada border. There aren't a lot of desert towns that I would move.
I've been to Utah before, and it is a very, very beautiful state. I could understand wanting to live in Utah.
To, but I would move to St. George. It's safe, it's reasonable when it comes to real estate. Their cost of living is also reasonable. They have great hiking, outdoor activities, and they've got a handful of really nice golf courses in and around St. George. You're also less than an hour from Mesquite, Nevada, and they've got some casinos there, so if that's your thing. And if you want to go to Vegas, that's less than 2 hours away also. So you could live a very quiet life in St. George and head right over the border for a little excitement in Nevada. You also got Zion National Park, which is right there. So yeah, St. George is probably the only desert town I would move to.
Yeah, I've been to Utah before. It's a very, very beautiful state, and I can see I don't think, again, I'm very comfortable where I'm at. But if I on this list, that's a place I would consider. I'm not so sure about Fayetteville, Arkansas. Not so sure about Aspen, like I said, but St. George, yeah, not bad.
Number 7, Monterey, California. Monterey is a great city.
Not in a million friggin' years would I ever live in California. That is in my opinion, it's the state of my birth. I was born in 1969 in Long Beach, California, and not for $1 million a year would I ever, well, maybe $1 million a year, you know what I mean, would I ever want to live there. Take that back. Even for $1 million a year, I wouldn't want to live there. California can go to hell, and it's heading there anyway, and too many stupid people live out there, in my opinion. Okay, now if you disagree with me, by all means. Okay, I don't mind visiting California. Okay, but I'll never live in California.
It's beautiful, tons of things to do. You're far enough away from San Francisco where you don't get any of that stink on you, and you're far enough north of Los Angeles where you don't have to worry about that. You're right on the coast. It's beautiful. It's foggy. I lived there from 1985 to 1990. Well, just outside of town, but in the area. It's a little expensive there, but still. It's also a great place if you're a veteran. They've got plenty of facilities for you, since Fort Ord used to be right there, just outside of Monterey. The entire Monterey Bay, though, is just beautiful. I'd move back there in a heartbeat.
Okay, and when I talk about California, the state is gorgeous. By all stretch, along the coast, going to the Pacific Coast Highway, there's a lot to love about the beauty of California. But having said that, the people that run that state have run it into the ground, continue to run it into the ground, and the people who live there continue to vote for the people who run it into the ground. I have no interest of living there ever.
Number 6, La Jolla, California. Yep.
Again, nowhere in California does it make my list.
Heading down the coast of La Jolla. La Jolla is part of the San Diego metro area. You never heard of it? It's where a lot of the wealthy people live. It's right there on the coast. Beautiful place to live. I used to do comedy down there at the La Jolla Comedy Store. This is how insane it is when you're a stand-up comedian. I would drive 2 hours down to San Diego, get on stage for 15 minutes, get off stage, grab something to eat, and drive 2 hours home. And I wasn't the only freak doing this. There was a lot of comedians doing the same stuff. How it is when you're a struggling comedian. But La Jolla is one of the best places to live in Southern California, especially in the San Diego metro area. Their cost of living's just insane, and their housing is even more insane.
Yeah, if you want to, unless you have more money than you know what to do with, California should never even make a list like this. Now, in terms you live in terms of beauty, in terms of uh, uh, you know what you're looking at, things to do. California is wonderful, but in terms of uh, how the state is run, how the people in the state run it, how the people vote in it, it's just absolutely insane to live in a place like that. Yeah, I have no doubt in my mind it is so super expensive to live there, and but again, these are nice, rich places that he's talking about in terms of California. You have to have a lot of money, and you're getting what you pay for. But again, I'm not made of money. I'm not going to pretend that I'm made of money, and I will never live in California. And this is not. I'm sorry. This is not me telling people don't live in California. If you've got money, you want to do it by all means. It's your money, and you can do it as you want. And I hope you have the best time of your life. I hope you're safe, and I hope you enjoy it, and everything works out for you. It's just not for me.
But that's usually the case when it's a really nice place to live with really low crime, which they don't have any crime. It's actually 25% lower than the national average. The Vatican doesn't even have a crime rate that low. Number 5, Bellevue, Washington. Bellevue, Washington is in the Seattle metro area, and right away, if you don't know where it is, you're going to think that's bad. Well, it is just east of downtown Seattle.
I've been to Seattle before, and Seattle is expensive, like California, but it is a beautiful state to live in. And I'm noticing, so far we're west of the Mississippi River. I'm kind of curious if there's any places east of the Mississippi River that he has here, because and he's from the west, not from the east. So I'm kind of curious about that. Now, going around Seattle, going around the state of Washington, it's a gorgeous state, and I loved my time when I was in Washington. It is a gorgeous state, and that would convince me if I had money to live in Bellevue, Washington, because, like I said, it is absolutely gorgeous.
But good news for Bellevue, there's a lake between Bellevue and all the drama and all the nonsense that goes on in Seattle. Nothing keeps the criminal element out of your town better than a lake with only 2 bridges. Right in the middle of that lake is Mercer Island, and that's where you live if you have a title that includes letters like CEO. The late Paul Allen, who's a co-founder of Microsoft, he lived there. Steve Miller from the Steve Miller Band lived there. One of the CEOs of Ford, and a bunch of professional athletes. But yeah, Bellevue is a real...
But he is right. There is a lake there that's pretty big, and you're not gonna the criminals, for whatever reason, aren't gonna get on the bridge and come over there just to commit crime. Okay, especially when you got Seattle close by, and you can get away with it there.
Really, really nice town to live in, and I've looked at it several times. I like it up here in the Pacific Northwest, and I've actually given some thought to Bellevue, even though it's out of my budget. Mercer Island is definitely out of my budget. Number 4, Rockport, Maine. Rockport.
Okay, now we're on the East Coast, and look, any place in Maine is worth it. Maine is another one of those gorgeous states that if you've never been there before, it's worth it to go to Maine. If you love seafood, it's an incredible place to go. The lobster is, I never thought in a million years that I would see so many lobsters in my life, but I did. You go, there's a place you go in there, and literally there's like drawers filled with lobsters that you can pick and choose. Now I'm allergic to seafood, not seafood, but to shellfish, so I can't eat lobster. But Maine was absolutely gorgeous, and certainly one of my favorite trips. I was there with my family in 2011.
is a beautiful coastal town in Maine. Now, it's one of many beautiful coastal towns in Maine. The place is just silly with them. I'm sure you could find some, especially if you live there and you know where they are, but if you're just showing up as a tourist or just checking out Maine, it's hard to find any bad towns in Maine, especially on the coast. Rockport is about an hour and a half up the coast from Portland. The harbor is what's really great about this place. It looks like someone painted it most of the time. Rockport doesn't have as many things as, let's say, Bar Harbor or obviously Portland, but it is a great place to live. It is beautiful here. If you want to live in
fact, I think we were close to this area. We may have been in this area. I have to go look at that myself because I flew into Portland and we were about an hour north of Portland, about maybe a little bit longer than that. Certainly, he's right. Along the coast of Maine, it's absolutely gorgeous. This brings back a lot of good memories.
a town that looks like it could be the backdrop of like a romantic comedy, this is the place to live. You only have about 3,300 residents too, and it's spread out. They're not like right up on top of each other. Like all good places, though, it's a little expensive. Their cost of living is like 50% above the national average, and their housing is pretty decent. I mean, they have homes there that are going for $500,000. Now, to some of you, that seems like a lot of money, but this is a really nice New England town, so it's going to be expensive. So compared to other really nice New England towns, this one's affordable. Compared to Strawberry Patch, Arkansas, yeah, it's expensive. Number 3, Honesdale, Pennsylvania. I've talked about Honesdale many times. In my opinion, I think overall and all around, Honesdale is probably the best town to move to in the United States.
Now, this is a little bit more in my neck of the woods, not Honesdale in particular, because I'm the next state over, and Pennsylvania's a pretty big state. But I'm kind of curious about Honesdale. It looks like just on the first glance like any other Midwestern town. Doesn't look anything special that I can't find right here where I'm at.
It's rural, the land is affordable, the people are decent, the cost of living is low, they have great health care in town, water everywhere, hunting, fishing, hiking, camping, drinking. They got quite a few breweries in the...
This isn't too dissimilar what he's describing as what the town that I grew up in, Pickerington, Ohio, was like before all the development came in. And what Marysville, what I was mentioned earlier in the video, is trying to keep. So I can I can understand that.
The area. Plenty of things to check out if you're into history, including Hotel Wayne, which if you ever get a chance, stay there. It's supposed to be haunted. I've stayed there 3 times. I haven't seen any scary stuff yet, but it's pretty cool. If you get a chance, if you want to check out Honesdale, go during the Roots and Rhythm Festival they have every summer. It's usually in the middle of June. It's definitely a good time. Also, while you're there, definitely hike Irving Cliff. This is a cliff that's outside of town, overlooks town actually. Well, it's named after Washington Irving. Apparently, he used to like to take his lunch up there and overlook the town, have a little lunch. If you don't know who Washington Irving is, sorry. But he's the guy that wrote like Rip Van Winkle and The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, among other things. And he used to spend a lot of time in Honesdale. Number 2, Bluffton, South Carolina. Bluffton, South Carolina is in what they call the Low Country. It is just inland from Hilton Head, South Carolina, just north of Savannah, Georgia.
Now, I lived in Somerville, South Carolina. I don't know how close it is to Bluffton. I don't have my phone with me, so I can't pull out the map. But I did not particularly care for living in South. I love visiting the Carolinas. I didn't particularly enjoy living in South Carolina. But I did... I do enjoy going through the Carolinas because it is beautiful country. I know a lot of people who live down there who absolutely love it down there.
It's right over the border. This is another town that looks like it could be the backdrop of a romantic movie. You know, like the movies we used to get back in the day with Sandra Bullock or Julia Roberts. You know, there's some woman escaping a bad relationship and they could never love again. But they move to a small southern town and some dude works on their car and he looks like an underwear model and they fall in love. That type of movie. That could happen in Bluffton. It's honestly like this small town, but it's really not a small town. got a population of almost 30,000 residents, and it's surrounded by some pretty good-sized places like Savannah and Hilton Head's got a lot of people there too. So it's almost like part of a metro area, but it's really not. Bluffton's like one of the only southern towns I would want to move to. You know, I like Savannah, great. Charleston's another great one. There's some
Now, Somerville was close to Charleston, and my dad was in the Navy, and his ship would come in port in Charleston, and we go down there quite often. Again, the Carolinas have a quality all of their own, and it's one of the things that if you're from another land, or if you're in the United States and you've never been down to the Carolinas, you don't want to go any more than North and South Carolina is that area. In North Carolina you have the Outer Banks, and South Carolina you have like Myrtle Beach and places like that. But and Charleston is a nice place to visit. There's so much to do in that area of the country. Like I said, I didn't enjoy myself in Summerville, South Carolina. I was 6, 7, and 8, so I really couldn't appreciate it. Didn't really grow up there a whole lot because we moved about a couple years after we got there. But still, I can appreciate the beauty of the Carolinas, and Bluffton sounds like as good a place as any.
places in West Virginia I wouldn't mind moving to, but on my top 10 list, Bluffton's definitely the only southern town I would move to. All right, before we get to number 1, don't forget we have another channel called On This Day. There's a link down below. There's also a link for Home and Money, which is a website you can go to. And if you're thinking about moving anywhere in the United States, they could help you find a local real estate agent for wherever you're moving to. They've got a whole bunch of other things to help you buy a home also on their website, so check them out. All right, on to number 1. And number 1, Cannon Beach, Oregon. Yep, right down the road from me is Cannon.
Now, I've never been to Oregon, but my car has, because my parents drove it around the country after I got it. And the Oregon coast is someplace that's on my bucket list that I need to see. It is absolutely gorgeous, as I'm told. A lot of my family has done it. I'm one of the few people that has not done it in my family, and I'd love to do that.
Beach, and I would love to move there. I'd really love to move there so my wife would quit hassling me about wanting to move there. But really, I'm in love with the entire Oregon coast. It's beautiful. Sure, it's not like the coast I grew up on. I was born and raised a couple blocks or a couple miles, depending on what year it was, from the Pacific Ocean in Redondo Beach, California. Sure, Oregon touches the Pacific Ocean, but this is two different worlds when it comes to beaches. One, you need suntan lotion, and the other one, you need a good thick jacket. But the beauty of the Oregon coast is immeasurable.
And like that's what you're looking at there. That looks like an exact scene from the movie The Goonies, which came out in, I think, in 1985, and was filmed in Oregon.
It's hard to compare it to any other coast, maybe Maine, but I still think the Oregon coast is better. If you look at the small towns along the coast, Maine probably beats out Oregon. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they do, but just the land touching the ocean here in Oregon is one of the best things you'll ever see. If I ever win the lottery and you're looking for me, just about any day you could find me walking up and down the coast around Cannon Beach, I promise you. How strange is that? I mean, I grew up dreaming about moving to Las Vegas and hanging out in the casinos and partying all night. Now I dream about just walking up and down the coast of the Pacific Ocean.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few things. Obviously, I'm not a big fan of California, but I do like I would like to see the Oregon coast, and I would like to go to Oregon, period, just to visit and see the outdoors, because I got this much as like what I did last year when I went out to like the Colorado, Wyoming, Montana, South Dakota, and seeing those things. But I can't complain about number 1. I would love to see Oregon, the Oregon coastline. It looks absolutely gorgeous, and I'd like to see it with my own 2 eyes. Well, this was a good video. 10 places you should live in 2023. Can't say I agree with all of it, but that's his opinion. That's what he said. So please click like, share, and subscribe for The World According to Briggs. And please click like, share, and subscribe for me. And have a good rest of your day. And thanks for watching.